NEDC Standard 4, Professional Development and Program Evaluation. Technology coaches conduct needs assessments, develop technology-related professional learning programs, and evaluate the impact on the instructional practice and student learning. So in the class that I'm in this semester, INST 6914, our big project for that is creating a professional development session for teachers in our school, in our district. And one of the first things that was required to do was to create a needs assessment to find out what the learning needs or the professional development needs are for our school. And so I created a survey on SurveyMonkey, asking them questions about how often they use technology in their classrooms, what they've used before, if they're interested in more professional development so they could use more technology in their classroom. If so, what would they like to learn? And then when it's best for them to meet to do this professional development. From there, I've looked at the results using the compilation that SurveyMonkey did, and am currently going through and analyzing the information to find out what people have used in the past, if they want to do professional development. In my particular situation, half of them do, half of them don't. And looking at what it is that they're most interested in learning when they do. This particular graph ended up being somewhat confusing and didn't really give a good explanation, so I had to go into a sub graph that they provided to look at each question individually, because they were to scale them from 1 to 11, what they would like to learn most as number 1, what they would least like to learn to number 11. So they ranked them from 1 to 11 on their interest in learning. And so I'm still working through and compiling that information and then looking at when the best time is going to be. It looks to be at this point we're going to be doing it after spring break at the end of March, where we will get together one session, general session to start with, and then supplemental sessions online afterwards, so they can do it when it's convenient for them, and then we will correspond digitally with that. In INST 6952, we did a lot of things helping to create professional development for teachers in the area of technology in the classroom. One thing that we did was we created an adult learning handout to go along with the presentation that we had. This was a handout that was going to be given out during a professional development session or a faculty meeting type session. The title of it, Turn Your Staff Meeting from Boring into Engaging, was a whole session on what to do for administrators to help make their professional development sessions more engaging for their faculty and their teachers. And this was a handout that was to be handed out to the participants of that to help them along and give them something they could take back with them as they plan their professional development sessions. We also looked at digital age best practices and then reflections on what we were learning. So this was one of the things that we read about the digital age best practices that was handed out by an instructor, which will be a little bit easier probably to understand what we were doing with that than looking at the reflections. But we looked at each of the 6 different digital best practices. So the first one was promoting shared expertise with networked collaboration. Number 2, bolstering purposeful inquiry through student questions. Number 3, personalizing and globalizing content by making authentic connections. Number 4, accelerate individual growth through vertical and horizontal differentiation. Number 5, anchor student learning with digital age tools and resources. And then number 6, clarifying student understanding with formative assessments. So we read through those, and then we had reflections that we wrote based on our understanding of what that was. One of the other things we talked about then is in looking at our particular lesson plans and seeing if they met the guidelines used for that in something called HEAT, which is higher order thinking, engaged learning, authentic connections, and technology use. So it goes right along. So you would look, we use this to look at lesson plans and rate lesson plans from a scale of 1 to 6 on higher order thinking. What were the students doing in that lesson plan? Same thing with engaged learning, rating the students with a score based on what they were doing. Same thing with authentic connections and technology use. And so using the score like a rubric, we would go through and we would grade lesson plans to see where maybe the lesson plans were a little deficient in one way or the other, and something that we could do make it more meaningful for our students. You will see those same activities that we did answered for C as well as for A and B. So that is standard number 4.